but I think that was Saturday.
Yeah.
Mike,
Nice there.
Oh, I'm supposed to pass it on, huh?
Yeah, pass it on to somebody.
Okay, how about the other Joseph?
Hey, I'm Joseph Stride. I guess the last time I was at the beach was like a week ago, but I think I was at the beach like every day for like the week up to that because we had a pretty fun runaways for almost a week straight. But,
Right.
yeah, now I've just been catching up on some neglected work and other life stuff, but I'll pass it to Megan.
You're muted, Megan.
I was muted.
There you go.
Wait, I just had the greatest conversation with myself. I thought that you were saying the other phone number was someone named Megan. Apologies. My name is Megan Juran. I'm representing Clallam County at this meeting, and I'm going to talk about recycling, making sure we're all recycling right within Clallam County. Things are a little bit restricted if you're used to recycling in greater populated areas. I did share with some of you folks earlier. I am lucky working for the county. I can work remotely, and I am working remotely from the North Shore of Kauai right now. And I went to the beach yesterday, and it was beautiful. Definitely, you know, depending on which side of the island you're on, there are greater and lesser degrees of plastic issues. But the beach that I went to yesterday, unfortunately, we have a lot of issues here with people who are, I don't know how to say it politely, people who are living at the beach and creating just a really gnarly environment of not only trash, but I'm sure a lot of sanitary issues as well. So that was really sad for me to see, and hard to see just people being so disrespectful of a beautiful place. So yeah, I was at the beach yesterday, and it's been pretty wintry up here, really windy. I haven't heard, Nessa, I see your cute little picture, but you gonna tell us when the last time you went to the beach? Oh, ooh.
Yeah. I'm here, so I was just snacking and cleaning up. Yeah, I went out to the coast, not this past weekend, the weekend before, and camped out. It was really nice. It rained, but it was still gorgeous. And I think I surfed not too long before that, but you know what? I was out by Norwegian. There was so much garbage out that way. Like I brought a couple things out with me, but yeah, I don't think that place gets too trafficked anyway. So lots on the rack line there. Anyway, I'll pass it on to Carmen.
Oh, Carmen Geyer, communications coordinator for our chapter. The last time we were at the beach was this last weekend. We were in search of waves. Unfortunately, didn't find any, but we were out and we were checking on our porta potties out there, and unfortunately, one of the two out west, someone had pooped on the floor in a very clean porta potty. And speaking, yeah, Megan, when you brought up, gnarly situations, I was super bummed out to see that. So there was just no need for it. They were very clean porta potties as it was. So that was a bummer. So hopefully that got cleaned up, but the other one was available and clean to use. But yeah. Speaking for Greg too, this is my husband Greg.
Everybody.
This is my other half. So yeah, we cruised by Salt Creek on the way back, and it was just crazy. There was no waves, but there was a lot of people just out and about, and so it's been wild to see the amount of people out. So with that said, Let's do Nicole.
All right. Hey guys, I'm Nicole Harris. I'm the secretary for our chapter. I'm super stoked to see Megan because I haven't seen her since she went to Hawaii. Whatever. I had the last time I went to the beach actually was 2 weeks ago. So it's been a while. And that is when I was at Clallam, and it was awesome. We were there to support a beach cleanup for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We did pick up a lot of trash, but we did not pick up the confetti rack line. It just got too insane after a while. And hence, I am going to be spearing a competition for students to come up with an engineered design to clean up the plastic debris out of our rack line. I don't know when we'll implement that yet, but it's going to happen. And I will pass it on to Mike Webb.
You're muted, Mike.
You're muted.
Who?
Mike Webb's muted.
I'm here.
There you are.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, I'm joining you from Tacoma, kind of an interloper, but I've been involved with these chapters for like 15 years. So I was a charter member of the South Sound chapter. I just like to check in. I mean, I know Todd really well. It's been a lot of fundraisers here in Tacoma where he's participated. And I'm an incessant beach cleaner, so there's lots of styrofoam on the Sound. I just went stand-up paddling about a week ago with a friend, and we found a chunk floating out there. We couldn't figure out what this white thing was way out there. It was as big as my paddleboard. We brought it back in, left it at the park and called them up. It was amazing. If that had hit the beach and broken up, that would have, I mean, it was, you know, the styrene bead type foam, boy, a mess. And I find that all the time where it's just beat up on jetties and stuff, and it's just scattered. So that's what we do. That's one of the main things we do here in the Tacoma is the beach cleanups and water testing. Just got another hot sample on the Foss waterway, place I sample, so I have to go back and resample and run it tomorrow. Anyway, we got like, I don't know, 12 volunteers sampling locations. I don't know, Liz probably knows, keeps track of those things, but yeah, Blue Water Task Force is important here in Tacoma. We have a lot of stormwater and a lot of people using paddle boards and divers, and the water quality is really important. And I'd just like to point out, Biden administration is going to cancel the offshore drilling licenses. I saw something from Surfrider headquarters on that. That's exciting because we've been fighting that for a long time. It's kind of a remote thing way up here, but it's not. The whole industry is of concern to us, especially you guys out on the straits and all the petroleum tankers going through there and boats that can spew oil all over. It's been a long time problem, but anyway, I'll shut up. I did go to the Lyre River a week ago, Monday. And I just
weren't gonna say.
and it was good. I mean, it wasn't that good. The shortboarders were all coming back on their bikes saying, but I ride a little 8.6 up, and it was fine. And the other thing was on the way back, I visited Place Road. There was no parking. There were people parked all over the road going up the hill. I don't know it was the only place breaking, maybe. Nobody knew everybody left the Lyre and headed down there. I don't know what was going on, but it was a Monday. I couldn't believe it. I asked one lady, "What are you doing here?" She said, "Oh, I'm from Seattle. I got laid off, and so I just go surfing now." I don't know. Part of the times, we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
That doesn't
last
make
summer
any
we have,
very happy, but it's just the reality of what's going on. All right.
Who you want to pass it on to?
Let's see who haven't. We have. Is there a Tamara on there? Don't.
Yep, that's me.
Tamara, I don't
Um,
see you. Where are you?
I didn't turn my camera on because I just made it home, and I'll turn it on really quick. You can see just how terrible my lighting is at my house. So, log cabin, not a whole lot of lights, and unfortunately, the one light I have is sort of more backlighting than face lighting.
It looks cozy.
Me. It is quite cozy. My husband is kind enough to always have the wood stove going for me when I get home because I'm always very cold when I get home.
Nice to have you
So
along.
hi. Yeah, thanks. So I'm Tamara. I work at the Faro Marine Life Center, so I'm at the beach frequently since it's right there at my work. And I went out today at Edis Hook to check on a call because I had a call about a river otter. They called it a sea otter, and it was a river otter. And then not too long ago, did the walk along Hollywood Beach and picked up a few things as I was also collecting some sand. It's impossible not to find bits and pieces of plastic and debris. And I did find a cool like rubber shoe sole, which was interesting to find. But that was the last time I went to the beach. I was kind of late coming onto the Zoom call, so I have no idea who has gone and who I could pass it to.
I'll pass it on to Nils for you.
Okay, Nils.
Thanks. I'm Nils, I'm the treasurer. Last time I was at the beach was Monday evening, snuck out for a late session after work, and I show up, some friends are getting out of their wetsuits and said, yeah, it was really good until a couple of minutes ago. It completely shut off. But the way my day was going, I just needed to get wet, so I got in my suit and paddled out, and there's 3 of us sitting like on a lake. And a couple of 1-footers come by once in a while. And then finally, there's a good 2-foot set. And we catch one wave each, and the other 2 guys go in. So I'm alone there, and a bunch of nice little 2-footers rolled in. So it was a good session. And then there was a whole lot of nothing until it was too dark to see. So, but still, that's good.
Evenings.
Good way to spend my evening, yes. Tyler, did you go yet? You're still muted.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tyler, Vice Chair of the Olympic Chapter. I was at the beach Sunday. When I went out to Salt Creek, I got some knee to waist high sets. There's a lot of people in the water for a very small, clean day like that. I had to pick up the parking lot, not the beach, with the garbage scene, unfortunately. And there were some locals who were frustrated with the amount of people that I spoke to, just hanging out there for a minute. And seems to be kind of a weekend, every weekend right now. Everybody's getting out and about, and surf has been kind of coming in, so I get it. But I had a few people specifically vent to me about it, so I was, I don't know, curious if we could talk about that later. See how everybody feels about the increased numbers this winter. But everything else is great. It was a great beach trip. Who can I pass it on to?
Was it, I see, was it Balin?
Balin? Go ahead.
He's the last one available.
All right.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all. Happy to be back. Yeah, Yeah, last time I was at the beach, I walked down to the spit with my girls. Obviously didn't surf, but it was nice to get down there and see some of the erosion of the sand bluffs and quite a bit of debris washed up on the beach, but you know, just random flotsam. And yeah, that's it. Last time I was at the beach.
Do we know who the number who's calling in?
It's me, Arnold.
Ah,
Oh, there's that guy.
that guy.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Arnold Schouten. And the last time I was at the beach was to this past weekend to celebrate my wife Debbie's birthday, and we were at Dungeness Spit. And the good news is we had a great time there, and there wasn't any debris that we could find to pick up. So it was a good day. And unfortunately, she can't join us tonight. She's on another project. So I don't know if anyone else has called in.
Carmen, we introduced your dog.
Oh, this is Schmidt. He doesn't like the water, unfortunately, so he stays home on our beach adventures. So it's been a while since he's been to the beach. Not a water dog.
Did everybody go? I think everybody went. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I think that's everybody.
Sweet.
Carmen, did you want to introduce Megan?
Absolutely. All right. Well, welcome, Megan. So Megan Juran has been with the Clallam County Waste Prevention Specialist, or has been the Clallam County Waste Prevention Specialist for the last year and a half. When the position came up, it was a perfect opportunity to help educate others as we all work towards our journey of preventing waste. Being able to work remotely has been the cherry on top, as she's in Hawaii right now, if you haven't heard. So we're all super jealous of that. In Megan's position, she does outreach education, events at places like schools and farmers markets, as well as working to streamline recycling messaging for clarity and greater compliance. She's worked for the National Park Service for 6 seasons, primarily as the Coastal Interpretive Ranger and social media darling. Megan is well versed in communicating a variety of concepts to a wide range of audiences, one-on-one, in group settings, or through social media. She's an amazing lover of the outdoors and will jump at any opportunity to be on or in the ocean, especially if she can be with her friends exploring, like her favorite tide pooling partner, Nicole. Aw. So thank you, Megan, for sharing your time with us tonight and talking about waste reduction, fun plastic alternatives, and answering questions about our recycling in our region. So please join me in welcoming Megan.
Thanks, Carmen. And thanks, Nicole, for being my tide pool buddy. We always have a good time at the beach. So I just wanted to say thanks to you guys for just kind of holding tight with me, because this is my first time in doing this sort of presentation on my iPad. I do have a county computer, but I have a remote desktop, so it's a little bit of a different deal. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with my presentation. So again, I did figure it out last time on our trial. So, oh no, I don't remember how we did it. I should have written down how I did that. Liz, you remember how I did that?
Yeah, there should be a share screen button, and then it should give you an option on which screen to share. And if you just pick your slideshow, it should pop up. But if that doesn't work, I can do it on my end, and you can just ding.
I think maybe let me. Oh no, now I'm. Do you see that or no?
Not yet.
Okay, wait, I think that didn't work. Again, thank you for your patience. Zoom, and let's see, how do we do that? I guess like this maybe, and then like that maybe, and then.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
We're getting closer.
Closer, you are sharing your screen.
And then like that, right?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks you guys for having me, and it's great. It's great to see you guys. It's been a while since I've attended a meeting, so it's good to see some familiar faces, even though I haven't been on the peninsula for a while. And of course, a big shout out to Nicole. Thanks for taking me to the ferry. So today I just wanted to talk to you guys about recycling right and what is accepted here in Clallam County. So just first wanted to let you know about the offerings that we do have at the Waste Prevention Program. We do a master composter recycler program. Of course, everything is kind of on its ear from last year and into this year. So not sure when we'll be able to offer those programs this year. We also do food recovery. There is a gentleman who was AmeriCorps who's taken over a lot of that role. So I don't do as much of the food recovery, but we are partnering with an international North American organization we're working for this campaign to shrink food waste. So of course, there's a lot that goes into producing food, from water to the nutrients in the soil, to transportation and the greenhouse gases emitted there, as well as in the landfill when food is trashed and not consumed or composted. So we're working on shrinking food waste, do a lot of recycling and reuse messaging and outreach education, different things like Carmen said, at schools, farmers markets, meetings like this, different, like I've been to the Rotary, stuff like that, to talk about recycling and ideas of reuse. And I do as well do business audits. So things that businesses can do to reduce their waste, as well as to make sure that the employees at those businesses are recycling right. We do have some messaging on our website that people can print off at their businesses if they want to have some signage around their recycling bins, so that they can get that recycling right message out to people using those within their businesses. So as far as recycling is concerned, there are two main components to recycling right. And it is both knowing how to recycle as well as what to recycle. So I am going to go into both of those into greater detail. And I don't mind if people want to ask questions during the presentation. That's fine with me. Although, like I said, I will be covering both of those things. So at the end, there'll be time for questions as well. So when we talk about how to recycle, it's important that the items that you're putting in your recycling bin are empty of liquids and solids, that they are clean, which certainly doesn't mean, spick and span squeaky clean, but rinse and scrape the food residue or the beverages out of your recycling before you throw it in the bin. And those items need to be dry, especially when we're looking at things like paper products. When we talk about recycling, it is an industry. Those items are a commodity, so can't make good quality products out of wet paper and things like that. So we need to keep those items dry. So that means air drying them and keeping your bins closed at home. So when we talk about empty, we look at something like this bottle with a little bit of the aid left in it, and with the cap. Things like this are headed to the landfill. And when we see too many items like this within the recycling, unfortunately, some people may think there is a recycling fairy who's going to go through and clean up all your recycling for you. And unfortunately, that is just not true. Everybody needs to be accountable for their own recycling. So if you put something like this in the recycling, and there's too many items like this, it will contaminate the whole load, and that will end up all going to the landfill. So we need to see items like this with no beverage inside and lids, no lids in the recycling. When we look at something like this, an issue with lids is that the lid and the container itself are two different polymers of plastic. And so that is an issue there. And then when we look at small lids like these caps for stuff like these bottles, those are things that they call tanglers or jammers, things like that will clog up the recycling system. So we can't put small things like these lids into the recycling bins. When we talk about clean, again, you know, the items need to be scraped out. Peanut butter is a huge issue. Just looking into the bins, if you go to the transfer station for your recycling, I just suggest just pop your face into that little hole where you throw the recycling and see what it looks like in there. Unfortunately, we do see a lot of the items that are thrown into the recycling is not clean. Stuff like this, you know, whereas peanut butter, there's a couple things there. Of course, that's not going to produce a good product if it's full of peanut butter in the end. And also, with a lot of things like this, there's actually, you know, 1 or 2 more servings left available in that jar. So it goes back to both, you know, food waste and recycling, right? So if you go ahead and just, I mean, again, it doesn't have to be, you know, through your dishwasher or anything like that, but if you can clean it out, then that is something that will be able to be recycled. And then the last part of the how is, of course, the dry. So, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, this huge effort. You just put it on your dish rack, or for those of us who like to enjoy canned beverages at night, I just like put it upside down in the sink and then, you know, throw it in the recycling bin. So those last bits are out of the can. And then, of course, keeping the lids closed here. You know, we have those big bins if you get it at home. Most people are going to keep their recycling, you know, inside their carport or their garage if they're taking it to the transfer station. So just making sure that your lid is closed if you have the home bin, and then keeping your recycling out of the weather if you're saving it for visits to the transfer station. Another big thing with the recycling is keeping it loose. The plastic bags, they are, again, what they call tanglers. So those things get clogged up in the cogs of the recycling machinery and can cause a big problem there at the facilities that do the sorting. So keep your items loose and not in the plastic bags. I am going to go over what different items are accepted here within Clallam County, within our county recycling. There are things called special recycling, and that would be for things like plastic bags. This link that's at the bottom, the plastic filmrecycling.org, basically it is a place that you can go. You can enter your zip code and it'll show you where you can take stuff like plastic Ziploc bags, bread bags, newspaper bags, things like that. You can actually recycle those within the county, but they are considered special recycling. Here in Clallam County, we can take them to Safeway, QFC, and Walmart. And again, they need to be empty, clean, and dry. A big issue that they have with the special recycling is just like we have with our county, our recycling is the contamination. So that's why at places like Safeway, they actually have that bin sort of on the side. If you go in, I guess the east side entrance at the Safeway in downtown Port Angeles, it's actually like past in where the wagons are and past the ice machines and whatever, and they have it tucked behind there because when it was a little more front and center, people were just throwing their garbage in it. So again, we just need to make sure that we're getting the right items into the recycling for it to all work properly. So I'm going to go into this in greater detail, but just quickly to show the things that we can recycle here for plastics. It is by shape and by number, and not by number, excuse me. So a lot of people think just because it is a number 1 or 2, that it is recyclable within Clallam County, and unfortunately that is not true. You can see there's a lot of different packaging, like let's say if you buy something that comes within that sort of plastic form within a carton, and even if it is number 1, that is not recyclable. Unfortunately, we do accept paper and paperboard products, just not things that are plastic coated. Metal, that's something, we should all be pretty used to by now. Our biggest issue is typically with the plastics. We've all been probably been recycling metal for, our whole lives. The labels, it's okay to leave the labels on. I suggest people pinch the lid inside just for safety. If the lid does come loose when you're opening up a can, as we all have probably unfortunately experienced, the lids can be really sharp. So just for the safety of everyone involved in the process, if the lid does come loose, if you just put it in the bottom of the can and kind of pinch it close so it doesn't get out of there. Cardboard, remove the labels and the binding, what are those? The wraps are the excessive tape and things like that. That's not going to make a good recycling. And then glass, I do have another little asterisk here. Glasses, somewhat considered special recycling because we don't take it and it's not accepted in the home bins, but you can put it at the transfer station. And it is food and beverage containers only, not light bulbs or mirror or windows or things like that. Just that specific type of food grade glass. So for plastics, like I said, it's by shape and not by number. So we take things like bottles where we talk about the neck being smaller than the body, as you can see in these photos here. We call them dairy tubs, and typically, actually dairy tubs are more often number 5 than number 1 or 2, and those are accepted. And then jugs, so things like this clothes washing soap or the cat litter. With those things, you do need to take out the spout. Typically, there is a harder plastic spout in these jugs, and that is again a different type of plastic. So if you remove those spouts from those jugs, you can recycle them, and that does include things like milk jugs, like the plastic milk jugs. So again, a big thing with all these, of course, is empty, clean, and dry. Kind of a different end of the plastic is we do accept plant pots. They need to be the harder plastic as well as the hard-sided buckets. So we do spend most of our time sort of going over and hammering home these 3 specific types of plastics: the bottles, dairy tubs, and jugs, because that is what is most used and most recycled. But like I said, the plant pots and the hard-sided buckets are accepted as well.
Hey, Megan,
So
sorry to interrupt. What if the plant pots are like broken or the buckets are like kind of broken? Is that okay, or do they have to be in like good condition?
Well, I mean, if you put a degraded, product into the stream, you're not going to be able to get a high quality product out of it. So that would be more of a judgment call. Like if it's one of these, sort of hard-sided buckets or pots and it just is, cracked, then, I would say that that's fine. But if it's like, totally trashed or just in pieces, things like that, that's not gonna work.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Of course. Thanks for asking. So paper and paperboard, that's relatively, easy for most people. We talk about things like mixed paper. That can be, you know, just from regular paper to, you know, like these manila envelopes, things like that. Just ask, you know, you take out the staples or paper clips, things like that, just leaving it to the paper products. And things like mail, magazines, newspaper, those are things that you can throw into your bin. We also accept phone books. It's kind of outdated a little bit, I guess, to really highlight that, but it is something that we do accept, phone books as well. And then food boxes. So if you look, all these different types of food boxes, I would take out, like on the pasta, I would take out that plastic window in the front. And I have heard, I don't believe it's this brand specifically, but another brand of pasta that they're like, why do we need this little window? Everybody knows what pasta looks like. We don't need to add that piece of plastic to the container. So it seems like people are, businesses are responding more to consumers sort of being fed up with the different things that they're packaging in. And Liz, you're gonna go into packaging initiatives later, I think. Yeah,
That's the plan.
yeah, perfect, great, that's great. And then metal, we take aluminum and tin, and again, you know, this is just these should be things that we've all been recycling basically, you know, our whole lives. So I guess it's just a habit. I typically do take the labels off, but like I said, it is not, it isn't a requirement. You're not contaminating if you do leave the labels on, but again, you know, empty, clean, and dry. I have had people, you know, who talk about how they're concerned about how much water we're using to get these recyclables clean. And my response to that is I typically, you know, we hand wash our dishes. So we just take that water, the dirty water that's left over at the end, and use those to wash our recyclables. So not really using any extra water to get those clean in the end. So for people who are concerned about water use, I just suggest doing things like saving that dirty dishwater and using those to clean the recycling. Corrugated cardboard, that's again another one that we've probably all been recycling forever. Yeah, so you break down the boxes. It's better for room for the haulers. And then that you take off the binding and the tape as much as possible. You know, a little tape isn't gonna be detrimental, but if your box is mostly tape, that's not a good product to put into the recycling stream. Glass, again, glass is something that's not accepted in the home bins, but at drop-off locations and at the transfer stations only. And then it is, again, the food grade glass. And for whatever reason, blue glass is not accepted. And glass is pretty interesting. You know, we have the Park Service actually, we're in talks with them. Glass is an issue as far as recycling is concerned here in Clallam County. As most of you probably know, we don't have all of our recycling and our rubbish is taken to a transfer station, and it is literally transferred from the Olympic Peninsula elsewhere, depending on what those different commodities are. But when we look at glass, glass is a little bit more challenging because of course it breaks really easily. It gets into those shards, get into other recyclables like paper, things like that. It gets into the recycling machinery. So there is talk of the National Park Service to invest in a glass crusher that we could use on the peninsula for things like aggregate and that. So that might be a local solution to the glass. And I just want to go back and the corrugated cardboard, that is something that is really the only item that's recycled that stays on the Olympic Peninsula. Currently it's going to Port Townsend Paper Company, but McKinley Biopapel does have plans to use recycled corrugated cardboard to make more paper products at our plant here in Port Angeles. They're kind of a little bit not up and running to full capacity, and they are going to need more cardboard than we produce within Clallam County, but it is something that can be potentially recycled within the county, but does stay on the peninsula. And so cardboard is actually a really good one because it does have a smaller footprint as far as transportation and greenhouse gas emissions and things like that are concerned. It is also a part of our economy here on the peninsula. So corrugated cardboard definitely is good that we go the extra mile to make sure we're recycling that right, as it supports industries here on the peninsula. So as far as what's not accepted, it's basically everything that wasn't mentioned in those things. This is just a list of items that are sort of the most common contaminators to the recycling stream. And when we look at it, these things, like I was saying earlier, they do contaminate whichever, if you're putting them in the mixed, the tin, aluminum, paper bin at the transfer station. And when it just becomes too much trash, then unfortunately the efforts of people trying to recycle right are, sort of for naught, and a lot of those items are ending up in the landfill because there's so much contamination. Unfortunately, in some of these different transfer station audits that I've done, I have like a little picker. I look like kind of a crazy lady poking my head in the recycling bin and grabbing stuff out of there. But I did grab some stuff one time where it was really quite an interesting thing where someone was going to really great lengths to recycle wrong. And it was really unfortunate to see they had stuff like these clamshells. There was a couple issues. It was like, single use piece of pie or something of that. And of course, my thought is maybe just get the whole pie and divide it out and freeze it or something, and not have so many pieces of plastic. And then they had them all stacked together and put inside a Ziploc bag. And it was the same with like the lids, like on this coffee cup here, the black plastic lids, they had those all stacked up and put in a Ziploc bag, and even went to the effort of taping the bag. So all of these lids didn't get out. And unfortunately, none of those things are recyclable. I would encourage that person to get their own reusable cup or mug, coffee mug, and bring that to their coffee shop, which I guess I'm not sure if all places are even taking that kind of thing at this time. A big thing that is a contaminant are these cartons and juice boxes. So all this aseptic, a lot of stuff has gone into these types of containers, these waxy containers, and unfortunately, those are not recyclable. Food soiled items, that's a big one as well, where people put like the pizza boxes or the paper plates, things like that, into the recycling. And again, those are just contaminating the system there. So basically, like I said, basically anything that is outside of that list of things that is accepted is not accepted. And I would just encourage people, if they have a lot of things that they are buying that are not recyclable, maybe thinking about alternatives. Like for me, I buy the gallon size of the milk because it is in a plastic container that can be recycled, as opposed to the smaller one that the waxy paper that is garbage. Things like the soy milk, you can, and nut milk, so you can make your own oat milk or almond milk. Things like that to help even reduce the amount of things that you're consuming, especially in the area of plastic bags. We do have a plastic bag ban in Port Angeles, so that is good. Doesn't include things like these plastic bags that that you get your produce in. Liz, you're going to touch on the plastic bag ban, yeah?
Yeah, I'll touch on that.
Okay, perfect. So she'll talk more about that, but that is certainly in the works statewide, that plastic bag ban. So yeah, just encourage people to think of alternatives. Like I said, instead of having that single serve cup, to bring your own mug places. I do a lot of traveling, and I bring my own mug and jar with me when I travel. And then, when I go to the service or gas station, do look for things like, that are just in cans instead of plastic bottles. I was at like a bigger sort of truck stop gas station last year, and it was just this humongous wall of beverages, and 99.5% of them were all in single-use plastic. But I did find, they do have some of the beverages will come in cans. So I just go I don't even want to say the extra mile, because it's really not that much effort at all to just choose something that's more readily recyclable than a single-use plastic. As Nicole knows me well, I do spend a lot of time, like you all do, at the beach and picking up trash. We have seen, of course, a spike in that in recent years, where the beaches are just littered with plastic. So because I want to see, clean beaches and healthy wildlife and things like that, do take the extra effort to try to think of alternatives. If you do have things like a compost at home, you can take like that soiled pizza box and compost it. Things like the aluminum trays. It's really funny, those are quite a commodity to have a nice tray like that. Foil, a lot of times, like I know Nicole has made and gifted me, thank you, Nicole, like those beeswax wraps. So looking for alternatives. I'm a bit of a Pyrex fiend, so I use my Pyrex with my lids, my glass lids on them, instead of using, any kind of cellophane wrap or foil. So there's just different things, that we can all do to sort of mitigate some of these issues. Like things like, we're really lucky where we live. We have a good growing season, lots of fresh berries and fruits and things like that, taking that spring or summer season whenever things are at their peak, and, freezing them yourself instead of buying those. Or I like to do a lot of dehydrating of fruits, so that I not only so that I'm using them while they're fresh, but as an avid backpacker, that's an issue for us, is the plastic and the packaging of single-use stuff like bars. So I do stuff like make my own bars, dry my own fruit, that kind of stuff. So those are just a couple of the different ways that I try to rethink, reduce, and reuse. So we do have, I don't just work for the county, but also WSU Extension. So we do have a waste reduction page through Washington State University. So there is some information online through WSU, as well as through Clallam County. And then we do have things like this Recyclopedia, which is a little bit outdated, but still has some good information on it. And there are pages like Too Good to Toss, where there are things that, you know, people buy that maybe isn't recyclable or isn't something that they've consumed all the way, but they don't want to throw it away. So that Too Good to Toss is full of different sorts of treasures. And there are a lot of pages on stuff like Facebook, buy and sell pages, or even free pages where people are have things that they don't want that they're passing on to other people, or you know, people seeking out things that maybe people have that they're not using, that people can get from them, so that they don't have to purchase something brand new. There are definitely things too, as far as reuse is concerned, you know, different like tool libraries and things like that, where you can check out tools instead of buying them new. I know our library too has some, unfortunately, you know, things are kind of in a little bit of a limbo right now as far as, you know, things like sharing, but hopefully we'll be getting back on track with having waste prevention be more of a focus, instead of having, you know, single-use plastic being pushed so hard as being more, you know, quote unquote sanitary. So does anybody have any questions? Well, oh, sorry.
No, this is Carmen. I don't have a question, but I just thank you for sharing that what not to recycle. I thought I was doing really good. I wasn't the one that put the stuff in the Ziploc bag, but I was like those clam shells. I thought, this is plastic. This is recyclable, you know? And so I'm super guilty of doing that. So now I know, but thank you for sharing that.
Well,
Yeah,
it was really
I'm guilty of putting tin foil in there,
Right.
and foil pie pans. If they're clean, I don't know why the aluminum wouldn't be good. It's just, does it not go through the machinery well, or what?
Well, the other thing too is like the end product is what they can actually make out of it. So that's where we do have issues. I, you know, don't know the full process of everything that, you know, they do at these facilities, but I did recently reach out to Pioneer, which, so we, in Clallam County, we have Waste Connections, or Olympic Disposal is like a subsidiary of Waste Connections. And within the county, actually both Clallam and Jefferson County, we take our recycling from or it goes through Waste Connections or Olympic Disposal, and it goes to Pioneer. We did recently reach out to them to do an audit of what they accept. And so that was something we just wanted to make sure we were online with our messaging. A lot of people, you know, one thing that we're working really hard on is to get that clarity and more. So to get the confusion, to reduce the confusion and increase the clarity on what is actually accepted. I know, you know, some of you probably know a lot about the China sword that happened in 2018, I believe it was, where basically, you know, because China is shipping us so much stuff, we were able to ship them back our recycling at a really low cost, because you know, the ships would be, or the barges would be going back to them basically empty, right? So we're like, okay, well, we'll send you our recycling. So that worked for a long time, and that, I think, was the idea that people got, where it's like, oh, well, you can just throw anything in there. Of course, you know, we're all old enough to have seen a lot of changes in the packaging that is offered at the store, and how much of it now is not recyclable. I mean, even all this aseptic packaging. I don't know how many of you have little kids or grandkids, or I guess I know Todd has a really cute little grandbaby. And, you know, they give them like those little pouches for baby food, instead of, you know, when we were growing up, it was just in a glass jar. A lot of people either reused that or recycled that, and it was, you know, a good system. Now, you know, you see a lot of things in these little pouches, come with like a hard plastic cap that's not recyclable. The pouch is not recyclable. There's a different plastic for the neck of it. And so what was happening was a lot of people were putting things in the recycling bins that were not recyclable, and a bunch of it was getting in with the recycling going over to places like China. And basically China just got fed up with it, and they're like, you know, I'm not sure why you guys think you can get away with just sending us garbage. And, you know, looking at the audits of the bales that they were getting, there was a lot of garbage in there. So it's not just China, but just looking at some different articles I read, places, you know, like Indonesia with the paper, or India with paper, where, you know, you get too much of things that aren't really paper anymore when they're covered in plastic. And those things got in there. And there's lots of countries who don't want to take our recycling. And because, like I said, recycling is a commodity, it is a business. People have to have good product in to produce good product out of that. And there are some exciting things on the horizon, which Liz is going to touch up on. And hopefully we can see those changes happening. Like a lot of things as far as, you know, the environment or the health of our ecosystems, these things are being done around at other places around the world. There's no reason that the United States can't join in on being smarter about packaging. But just wanted to close, you know, I know I follow some of you guys on Instagram, and I know you guys some of you guys follow us. So thank you. For those of you who don't, we do, our Instagram handle is Clallam Waste Prevention, and we do have a Facebook page as well, Clallam County Solid Waste and Recycling. I do post the same things on both, so you're not missing anything if you follow one or the other. And if any of you, you know, as business owners are part of other groups that you think would benefit from having this sort of discussion, you can certainly feel free to contact me, and I'd be happy to start a dialogue with you. And now you can figure out how to get it. Oops.
Thank you so much. A quick question.
Yeah.
You guys have tours of the like sorting facility in PA, or the waste?
So at this time, you know, so there's not really a sorting facility in Port Angeles.
Okay.
Wait, let me, sorry, I'm going to try to figure out how to get back to, oh, stop share. Okay. Oh, there. So basically, you know, it's all just a transfer station. So nothing is really happening there. When I get back this spring, we are going to do an audit of the recycling. So basically what they're going to do is they take the truckload, and they call it tipping. They're going to tip it all out onto the floor at the transfer station, where I have to pre-arrange with them at the transfer station to have like a bay set aside for us, and we're going to go through all the recycling, and we're going to do an audit of what's there. So I haven't done one yet. Some of you may know my boss, Megan Euchre. She did it, and then somehow the woman before me was called Megan. It is a job requirement to be named Megan. But you know, it was just like the craziest stuff. And I've done some outreach at the farmers markets, and I brought this stuff with me. One of my favorite things is, of course, like this rubber chicken purse, which is like, first of all, who would even throw that away? And second of all, who would think it is recyclable? I mean, it's just crazy, the stuff that people actually put in the recycling. And unfortunately, you know, we went through this phase where, you know, you look at it and you're like, well, first of all, you know, we've gotten to the point where there's so many different types of packaging at the store that, of course, has become a big problem, where we're like, oh, well, this should be recyclable, right? I mean, they're making so much of it. How can this not be recyclable? And we put it in the recycling bin. And then there's just, you know, outlandish stuff like that chicken purse, and there's like all kinds of different toys and things like that. So definitely share with you guys when I do get that audit done. But basically, you know, we go in there with coveralls and dig through the recycling. And again, I encourage you guys, if you go to the transfer station, to just poke your head through that hole and look at the things that are in there, now knowing that there really is only a limited amount of plastics that we take. And just, you can scan it and get an idea of how much of that stuff is actually a contaminant, and it's just ruining the recycling stream, unfortunately, for everyone. And a lot of us take great effort to make sure we are recycling properly. So it is unfortunate when we see things like that happen, because it sort of, ruins it for everyone.
Yeah. When in doubt, throw it out. Don't be a
And unfortunately, we've added to that too, when in doubt, find out. For sure, because there are, sometimes things that you may not think are recyclable are, I can't really think of anything because I know all the recyclable stuff, but like Carmen, when I had my interview with Megan, it was really funny because I was like, we take great pains, we live in the city. So we get the city flyer, and actually we did like an audit of all the different messaging between the different cities, the county, WSU, ecology, all that sort of stuff, to try to make sure we're getting things streamlined, because we know confusion is an issue for people. And so we sort of modeled our flyer, our messaging off of the city of Port Angeles. And so like a lot of you, I'm sure, we had the thing on our fridge or on top of our fridge, and we'd like pull it out and we'd be like, okay, is this a yes or a no? Really trying to do it right. Oh, she's got a cute kid. And we didn't get to see her cute kid. Hello. But, we're all kind of taking that extra step to try to make sure we're doing it right. But, if there really is a question, throwing it out is best. And I bet that some of you are guilty of doing like what I do. And if it's not recyclable, I feel guilty about throwing it away. So I just like put it on the side till my husband is like really fed up with it being there. And he's like, yeah, look, you guys do it.
Like sorting all the trash until you find the best place for it. I have like so many giant trash piles that I'm like, one day I'm gonna find a home for this trash.
Well, so Nicole and I, as you probably have already gotten the gist, Nicole's my homie, and we did a project in December. I've been saving up jars, and so I had a bunch of jars, and then in early December we did a reuse project where we made candles. So, there's definitely, some people don't have the space to actually save some of this stuff to make reuse projects. But that is definitely, for me, I do things, like have my little stash of jars, or, I really like those perfume roller balls. Like the little glass container with the roller ball on it. And you can actually, there's like a little implement, you can pop the roller ball off and refill it. So I have like a bunch of those that I've been saving. One thing for me is, I don't really have or wear makeup. And I'm like, oh, I should wear makeup, and then I'll like look and I'll be like, there's so much plastic, and everything. So, just in the event of I ever buy makeup in the future, it'd be something that I look for, like I know at Country Era, I did see they discontinued selling it. Sadly, Nicole, those tubes, they have like tubes of it's not really makeup. It's just my advanced makeup, like lip, like chapstick. Yeah. So it's like, you can, sometimes seek out those products that are made in more of a sustainable packaging. So it can be challenging and sometimes a little more expensive to go that extra mile. So choices.
Awesome.
Thank you for presenting all that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Megan.
There aren't any more questions. Yeah, that was awesome. It's always enlightening. You always find out like, oh crap, I've been falsely recycling that because we've been lied to our whole lives about what is recyclable.
Well, I do think it's really interesting, like I was saying about how, for most of us, there wasn't really all of these different types of packaging when we were younger. It was really easy. We always recycled the newspaper, and of course this was back in like the newspaper drive days. and, the cans, but, there really wasn't, everything wasn't in plastic like it is now. So it just makes it more challenging. And hopefully we see, that turn around. And so I look forward to Liz sharing some of the things that are on the horizon as far as changing and changes in packaging and the laws and that are going to hopefully be moving into effect for having more responsibility put on the producers, because a lot of people are like, what is the deal? Why is there so much crap being offered to us and not more sustainable alternatives?
I am happy to launch into that unless anybody has any last minute questions for Megan.
No, thanks. Good information.
Yeah, thanks you guys.
That was awesome. So yeah, I can touch on sort of where our legislation is regarding some of these plastic issues. The quickest is the update on the bag ban. So we did finally succeed in passing a bag bill last year that was supposed to start and go into an effect this year, January 1st, but obviously COVID. And so Inslee signed a proclamation delaying it for 30 days, and they did in fact use those 30 days to pass an amendment that delays the onset of this, of the bag bill getting implemented. So now the new start date is June 30th. And so that was partly because of, they wanted to make sure that the manufacturers and distributors of these products had time to kind of catch up with the demand. And there's also personal protective equipment, like response to the pandemic has also sort of interfered with things. And so we just wanted to give everybody enough time to get that off the ground and acknowledge that COVID has interfered with all of our plans. And so the Department of Ecology supports this delay as well. So, we're not stoked about it, but we're okay with it. So it'll happen this year. And so hopefully we'll see fewer and fewer bags on the beaches when we do our cleanups. So to be continued. And I can post a link to a blog post that Gus wrote a while ago that has a little bit more details on those updates in the chat when I'm done. So as far as EPR, the extended producer responsibility / polluter pays efforts that are growing around the country and around the world, because obviously we're all fed up with dealing with these products, and we want the producers who profit off of them to do more to reduce these issues. And so we dropped what's referred to as a model bill that has really strong, it's a really strong bill, and we did put it in the Senate, and it's like full extended producer responsibility from what I understand, but it's not going to go through. We know that this year. So it recently moved, I think it's in Ways and Means now. I'm not entirely sure exactly where it is, but we basically honed it down into a substitute bill that gives us a few good first steps. And we'll try again with a full extended producer responsibility next year. It's just this year's a tough time for legislators. And of course, like anything that's going to cost money is sort of like, I don't know if that's going to fly right now. So the reduced bill has sort of three main components. One is banning styrofoam, particularly with like clamshells, plates, and cups, and like foodware, styrofoam coolers, like recreational coolers, and packing peanuts. And so Surfrider, we've had a ban the styrofoam campaign for a couple of years that got really close last year and failed at the last minute. So we're excited about even this sort of honed back bill because, like, as you all have said, styrofoam sucks and we keep finding it and it breaks into tiny, tiny pieces. Megan, did you have a question?
So just to let you guys know too, there are places on the peninsula where you can recycle back your peanuts. And I apologize for being really PA centric. I don't really get to swim that much, but I know in Port Angeles, I forget the name, but right where the, right by the county building, I think it's the Bella Rosa, the coffee house there, that mailing place there, you can take your your peanuts back to them. She's like, just don't like sweep them, on your garage floor and hand me like a bunch of crap. Again, like all of it, it needs to be cleaned, but they're happy to take it back. And then the UPS store went out of business. So that's the only place I know of that will take those peanuts in Port Angeles.
Just the peanuts though?
That's called Lincoln Station.
Lincoln Station, yeah. They'll take other stuff like the packaging stuff as well. I know at the old UPS store, they were like, yeah, we just put like, you could take even the box and stuff before. And I don't know if there's the same store in Squim, but they're like, yeah, you you can put your stuff on the side and basically, you know, it's sort of a take it if you need it sort of system that they had there, but unfortunately they've gone out of business.
Yeah. Well, that's you know that you can at least recycle some of the foam because it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's pretty limited in places. So you can start your own foam piles. Like my garage has a giant stack of styrofoam because I have to like drive it out of town to the transfer station. There will be some exemptions with that foam ban. So prepackaged food with like raw meat trays. So like things that come with like raw meat on it. They're like, we don't even want that. And then coolers for medicine. So medical coolers are going to be exempt as well. So there will be some exemptions, but you know, for the most part, it's a lot of the single-use foam like foodware. That's the big issue that we see on our beaches a lot. The second component is a recycled content mandate. So the idea is to build a market locally for recycled content by mandating it in products. And that sort of will hopefully motivate you know, the market side of it because it is a market-driven economy basically. And so the goal is to make plastic bottles for drinks. There's some exemptions being debated right now, like is dairy going to be included? Is alcohol going to be included? To be determined, but definitely things like soda and water bottles will be required to have at least 25% post-consumer recycled content by 2026. And then that will ramp up slowly. So by 2031, it'll have to be at least 50% recycled content. And about 9% of that plastic waste that we generate every year has like been recycled, roughly, if that. So we're hoping to increase the market value of those recycled plastics so that we can make sure more of it is. And then the third component of this sort of scaled back substitute bill is an opt-in requirement. So food businesses would only provide single-use utensils like plastic utensils, lids for cold beverages and straws, and I think condiment packages for request only. For self-service or in self-service bins. And so hopefully they won't throw a bunch of that plastic stuff in your bag as you go out. So that's a great way for businesses to also save money. So we're stoked about that because it's a pretty simple fix theoretically. There will be exemptions for hot beverages so that you don't have a safety risk if you get your hot coffee to go and there's no lid on it because there's no plastic lid. So there will be some exemptions for drive-throughs and curbside pickup and things with hot beverage containers. So yeah, that's sort of where we're at right now with the bill number is SB 5022. And I will keep you guys informed on actions you can take going forward. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. Fingers crossed. I think that's it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll post some links with a fact sheet, like a 1-pager or 2-pager with more information on it. And then if you're interested in any sort of waste management, I definitely recommend one of our partners on the Plastic Pollution Coalition is Zero Waste Washington. And they do a ton of beyond plastic. They do a lot of like electronic waste and food waste. And so I'll post a link to their page that kind of covers all the 2021 legislative bills that they're sort of supporting that address all different kinds of aspects of waste management. Megan has a question.
I just wanted to add a comment about electronic recycling.
Yes.
So in Washington, we do have there's a contract with Goodwill. So you can take your electronic recycling to Goodwill and they will recycle it. It is not keyboards or printers. It's, you know, stuff that like a computer or a phone, stuff that actually has, you know, some valuable metals or different things that can be recycled in it. When you look at like the cords or the keyboards, you know, it's mostly plastic. That doesn't have a market for recycling. Another thing I just wanted to mention as well is that, you know, Goodwill is a good source to take your old textiles as well. I love Goodwill myself, but you can also, you know, they'll take stuff that, you know, like a shirt with a hole in it or something, stuff that's worn out. They do actually use those for rags. And I do encourage people to, you know, think about things like fast fashion, you know, and think about the longevity of the things that you're buying, because there's certainly the fashion industry is a big polluter. So just encouraging people to, think about what they buy and who they buy it from, and also, supporting local, also supporting local businesses as well is, really helpful for the environment and for our local communities.
This is Arnold. I have a question about printers. What's the recommendation on disposing of printers?
I don't have a recommendation on that, unfortunately. I guess besides just trash, unfortunately, you can, I had a person say, it kind of blew my mind, but he's like, yeah, printers are so cheap. You just go and you buy one, and when it's out of ink, you just throw it away and get another one because it comes with ink. I was like, wow, this is a really messed up world we're living in here. So like for me, I never had a printer for a long time. It is, more of an inconvenience to do stuff like, go to the library and whatever. But if, you are able to do things like use shared technologies, like, the printer at the library, which of course is kind of not an issue right now with the way the libraries are closed, but just thinking about the type of things that the products that we buy, whether they're going to be cheap or whether they're going to be something that's well made and lasts a long time. And I know that that's another thing as well. We've been looking at sort of doing like fix it fairs, where we do have some people who have the ability to fix some things, and you can bring, your toaster, your lamp or whatever, and people can repair them instead of, a lot of times, unfortunately, when we buy things that are cheap, they're cheaply made, and, we sort of pay for it in the long run, really. So that's sort of another thing, is thinking about, investing into more high quality products, so that we're not just, throwing them away, because a lot of places, unfortunately, you reach out to some of these companies and they're like, oh, well, it only has, so much of a life. And we've seen that, get shorter and shorter in the generations.
I have a comment on printers. You happen to be going through Tacoma, the Best Buy store takes all sorts of electronics. I think they just want you to get you in their store, and I think that's their only benefit for doing it. I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff that way, and I buy things like my print cartridges, but yeah.
And I know, like my niece was telling me, she's a school teacher, and so she has to do a lot of printing, or she's just starting in her career, so she's doing a lot of printing to establish her classroom. And she told me that, and I apologize, I don't know the brand, not that I would necessarily promote a brand specifically, but she did say that when she went and bought her printer, that she actually was able to find one that has reusable, or not reusable, but refillable ink cartridges. So there's just little steps like that people can take to reduce waste there. And I'm assuming, again, I don't have a printer, so I'm not really online with how much that stuff costs, but I would assume that, by getting a bigger thing of it and pouring it into the cartridge, that you're saving money there as well.
Okay, any more questions?
No, that was good info though, because I have a few cell phones I've been hanging on to get rid of, and 2 laptops as well. So it's good heads up. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. I'm gonna keep going with the agenda. It's getting a little bit late, but thanks for everybody with their input. We're gonna go on. I got sign. We've been working on signs. The chapter has. We've been talking to different places, different property owners up and down the strait about placement of surf etiquette signs. And Joseph and I worked on, I just got the graphic to him, was it yesterday or today? And he's kind of put added a little bit more lettering. They're just like the ones in Westport. But we've added some chapter information. I don't know if you can share that or not on here, Joseph, but the signs came in at about $100 each, and I was wondering if we wanted to order 3 of them, because I think we talked about having a cap. And I was also talking to Friday, Salt Creek RV campground next to the state park, the private campground. They said they'd be interested in signage. And I talked to them about area specific signage, and they're interested in that, but they wouldn't want to pay for all of it. So I talked to them. I need to write up a proposal for that, for doing spot specific, because they were concerned about the boundaries as usual and other things that they wanted to add to the signs. So I'll write up a proposal and get with them, but the one you see on the screen is the one that'll go up at the state park, and we could have those. They would probably put 2 of those up at the beach, trails to the beach at the campground if we wanted to, or we could save them for other places, or we can just have one printed. So I'll have, if anybody wants to talk about how many we want to print, I'll go get them started tomorrow, actually.
Is there any like financial benefit to us doing it in bulk, or is it going to matter if we do a one-off?
No, it's just one-off is fine. They're not going to cost any less or more if we wait. So we can start with 1 and add. Once we have the graphic, we can always make more. But it might be. I thought
more awareness, better.
What's that, Tyler?
I would just think the more awareness, the better. There's a lot of new people in the water who don't know the etiquette or necessarily where to be. So I would think as many as we can get, honestly. It's going to help everyone and know what Surfrider's trying to do.
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking if they were willing to work with us and let us put up 2 more on their trailheads, till we work out something else with the area specific signage. I was going to present that to the chapter and see if they agreed or not.
How much are the signs?
They're $100 each.
$100.
So, and then plus posts and hardware and planted in the ground. Probably could do that in a weekend for a couple signs. So I think, did we put a cap of 400 or 500 on it? Does anybody remember?
Yeah, we said.
It's in the notes. I can go look.
Yeah, ask the
Yeah.
treasurer, ask the money man. What
Yeah.
was it, Nils?
500. But so this is the Salt Creek, the county park?
That's the one where the first one is for the county park. The other one is for the private camp. The other 2 would be the
The
private
Crescent.
camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Crescent has a couple of paths down to the beach.
Yeah, they have about 3 or 4.
Yeah, and people park all along.
They have 2 that are major use, that are heavily used though.
Mm-hmm. But at $100 a pop, I agree with Tyler. The more, the better. As many as they let us to cover as many paths as possible.
Yeah. So that was my thoughts. It'd be a way to kind of cover the beach in different paths.
Mm.
I think my input on that would be, I think it's a good idea to put the signs, but I don't know that we want to get roped into anything regarding like the boundaries and so forth. I think if we're going to put up signs on their property, that we keep them generic, like how they're laid out right now.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, we need to keep in mind that the more signs you have, the less people read signs. So we have to be strategic in our locations so they look at them and they don't just think there's more signs than I want to even look at. It's a big challenge we've had even at on the Place Road, we had too many signs at one time, and that's why we chose to consolidate some of them. And now there's starting to be more signs there again. So I just think we need to make sure we think about where we locate them to be the most effective and not overkill. So I can see us finding a good use for at least 3 signs, but I'm not sure we should get any more at this time.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking once maybe the reservations open up, that we could maybe add more signs out there, but we could wait till that happens.
Yeah.
The graphic's ready to go. Once we do one sign, we can have a graphic ready. So do you want?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to get maybe 3 of them, but then it'll be interesting to see what kind of response we get from the first one we put up at the county park, Clallam County Park at Salt Creek.
Yeah. I think we'll.
And I do agree with Joseph that we don't want to get into signs that tell people what boundaries are.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be on them for their signage.
So
You keep trying to move the boundary.
yeah,
East. I saw those guys stacking wood on the east or the west side of the creek one weekend. I thought, what are you doing? They're trying to push the creek over to the cliff or something. I don't know what they're doing. I think the creek washed all that work away though, so it was karma.
Yeah, good thing, because that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
so another idea with Crescent is instead of putting one by each trailhead, by each trail to the beach, put one by the check-in booth. Everyone that serves at Crescent has to go check in to get their day parking pass and their wristband and whatnot.
Yeah, I talked to him about that, maybe possibly putting one on the building or next to the building.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I think they're definitely on board with putting them by the trails at the trailheads once they cross the road.
Cool.
But and I can talk about that again with them when they get, as we go out there and work it out with them. We can talk about more signage. I didn't want to overwhelm them with so many signs, but they are very interested in helping promote the surf etiquette.
Right. I was thinking to only do one if we put it by the office, because everyone has to go by that one no matter which way they go to the beach.
Yeah. Well, there will be one person checking in. If they have a van load of people, then the van load's not necessarily going to see it.
Yeah.
If they all go to the beach, they'll be able to read it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or guests as well. So I proposed 3 signs. I'll get them made up if everybody agrees with that. Is it anybody all in favor?
Aye. Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll get those going tomorrow. Thanks.
This looks good, Todd.
Thanks. Is there any progress with Twin Rivers property at all, Arnold?
I haven't heard back from them since they said they were going to put it to a vote of the shareholders, so I can look and check in again. I'll
Okay.
do that.
All right. Thanks.
Can I ask quick? I know it's been a while, but I did have a surfer friend who had reached out to me about the RV that was abandoned there. Did that got removed? Yeah.
At where?
Yeah.
Oh,
At the Twin.
yeah, that's gone.
Okay, good.
And also other news in the chapter, we're looking for a volunteer coordinator. So if anybody's open for volunteering for the volunteer coordinator position, there's some rules posted here, or not rules, but guidelines of what the position is.
Can everybody see that all right?
Yeah, Liz, did you want to talk about that or?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Yeah, the volunteer coordinator is a pretty critical role for a chapter because it's all about plugging people in and getting them stoked on all the different things that your local chapter does. And you guys do a lot of different cool things. So yeah, it usually requires, 5 to 10 hours a month, maybe more during the summer when things get going theoretically, depending on COVID. And we do ask for a 2-year commitment. You're not going to be like blacklisted from Surfrider if something changes in your life and you have to bail, but that is sort of the goal. And so, yeah, if you're interested, reach out to opcsurfrider@gmail.com. And some of the benefits, besides being able to work with amazing people in your community doing awesome stuff, is you get access to trainings through Surfrider University. You get discounts on our swag if that's important to you, and you get to make a real difference in your community on your coasts. So definitely a cool opportunity. So if you or somebody you know is interested in it, and it's also, we do a lot of leadership development and trainings, and we also provide a lot of resources. So if there's anything in specific that you're interested in or a skill set you'd like to apply, we are always open to finding what works for you, so you can continue to grow and help our ocean ways and beaches. So yeah, most of the job requirements are just checking our shared Gmail account and making sure you connect with people who reach out that are curious, maybe helping post on social media if you're into that, occasionally helping out with a newsletter, and just being stoked to get involved in the area. So yeah.
All right.
Did let us know.
Thanks. Thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
Maybe we can put that in a letter, in a monthly newsletter or something now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
On social media too.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Tell your friends.
Yeah. Oh, Megan, thanks for showing the beach.
Thanks, I think.
Thanks. Thanks.
Cold, dark, and wet outside my window right now, but I like to live vicariously through this. That's great.
Is there anything else we need to talk about if I forgot anything?
I know we're running late, but I have some shout outs and kudos to give. Nicole and Claire last month took some great pictures from their Blue Water Task Force sampling. Claire, your son is adorable, so thank you. I'll be posting those this weekend. So thank you both for doing that. And Joseph Johnson created a really great video from the parking lot restoration and cleanup out at Twin, and then redid it and added music that he custom created, and it was just really, really rad. So thank you so much, Joseph, for taking your time to share that with us. And that's in the newsletter.
Thanks for mentioning. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's in the newsletter if anyone wants to see it. And then scholarships, we last time we met as a committee, we approved doing scholarships for North Olympic Peninsula students. So we're going to be giving out 3 $500 scholarships, more to come on that. But thank you to everyone who attended that scholarship meeting. And yeah, more to come. I think we have to have it by April 30th in order to be included in May 18th scholarship night through Port Angeles School District. So just thank you for everyone's time and help with those awesome things for our community.
Rock on.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Carmen, for taking care of all of that, addressing all of it. I think that's about all I have for tonight's meeting.